They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views,
And everything else in between.
Shut up! That is so stupid.
Yeah, that is so stupid. And I know you look quizzical. You're a bit puzzled. You may be wondering who that is directed to, and it is directed to Kristi Noem, America's sweet summer child.
Oh, yeah, who really knows the law?
I mean, how are you out here confidently stunting like you're Miss America, peacock, court heels, and everything without not knowing what habeas corpus is? It's like showing up to the spelling bee and asking, what is an alphabet? It's like being the Minister of Agriculture and not knowing what corn is. I mean,
Well, she isn't a lawyer. That's the only thing you can say in her favor. Or is she? I don't know if she's a lawyer. But,
I don't think so.
well, if
But,
she...
honey, baby,
It's
Kristi, it's Latin and it's basic civics. Habeas corpus literally means you shall have the body. And if you don't know what that is all about, it's literally a part of the Magna Carta that was, it's a cornerstone of democracy, not just in the UK, not just in Europe, but in almost every democratic society, including the United States. It's not a spa treatment. It's not a Pilates class. It's not the latest form of Botox. It's
The Magna Carta. That was signed in 1215.
correct.
Do you know what the lady from New Jersey said when they were on a tour and she asked when was the Magna Carta signed? And the person said 1215. And she turned to her husband and said, Javi, we missed it by just an hour. That's probably
Kristi Noem's mom.
That's right.
It's the cornerstone of civil liberties, honey. I mean, it's used to protect people from unlawful detention since forever. Something that clearly you and your folks over at Homeland Security know nothing about.
Somebody's thinking about law school.
And you can tell. You can tell.
Law school.
And I mean, it'll be somewhere right after Don't Trample Human Rights and before maybe, I don't know, if you're going to accept the job, read the Constitution at least once.
Look, let's face it. We're here in Canada, yet we spend a lot of time talking about the U.S., and that's fine. Because they're so screwed up right now, and what they're doing is dismantling everything.
That's putting it very nicely.
Well, I'm a nice person.
Well, you're putting it very
diplomatic.
conservatively.
They're screwing it up.
You need to.
They're taking away the foundations of a democratic, liberal democracy.
I don't know how people are, especially because we are a bordering nation. I don't know how people are sitting back so relaxed and not scared shitless, scared out of their bones.
Because they're not paying attention.
It keeps me up. I'm not even joking right now. It keeps me up at night.
Well, you and I are socially and politically aware people. Our sources of information are a little different. Yours are a little bit more, shall I say, electronic. Well, mine are electronic.
My sources are close to the streets. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
And yours is a little bit.
They're more for the public.
It's more formal.
Yeah. But it's still electronic. But that's
And
irrelevant.
that's fine.
Yeah.
News is news.
But I listen to a lot of podcasts, and you get a lot of street stuff from those too.
Exactly.
You know.
So you have to mix it up sometimes. You got to mix it up sometimes.
I listen to more podcasts than music.
You know what? As of late, I have been too. I have been too.
No, that's a trend. I wonder what the daddy-son thing there is. I bet you more daddies. Do you think daddies tend to listen to more podcasts or sons? Well, you're a son. You're sort of a son graduating to a daddy in some ways.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, what are we going to talk about today?
Though, at what age does one become a baby daddy?
A baby daddy?
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about this a long time ago, didn't we? We had definitions.
I thought
of
it
this
was
stuff.
like when you're in your 40s. So I have a decade to go.
A baby daddy. Well, I have a friend who's half my age who insists I call him daddy. Well, not insists, but
So they're in their 40s.
he would prefer. He's in his mid-30s. I think he just doesn't like calling me daddy. But anyway, we use our own names when we talk to each
But
other.
anyhow.
Yeah.
So, Christy, next time someone brings up what habeas corpus is, please don't say bless you. It's not a sneeze. Just pick up a book, read, right? Okay, we're all rooting for you. I mean, in my Tyra Banks voice, we're all rooting for you.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this.
I mean, somewhat. Maybe Norm is.
No, nobody in that administration. No, they're all crazy.
With that being said, welcome back to Daddy and Son, a show about multi-generational views and everything else in between, because who the hell wants to be fucking Christy Gnomes? My name is Alex.
And I'm Norm.
And I'm Son.
And I'm daddy sometimes.
Depending on who you're in bed with.
I'm usually in bed by myself.
By 9. Just playing.
Oh, that was
playing.
That was not very nice. I'm on the couch by 9. I'm in bed by 10:30.
That's your pre-sleep.
Oh, this is
Would you
bearing
want to explain
secret.
to the crowd, to our gentle listeners, or gentle gaze and dumb tops, what a pre-sleep is?
Well, pre-sleep is the sort of the process of slowing down, being thankful for a day, relaxing on the couch, perhaps with a book or something on your iPad or on the TV. And then you kind of gradually, slowly make your way to the next room where your pillows and duvet are. And
that's when
lights
you get
are
the
out.
sleep. Mm-hmm. I see.
I think a lot of people do that. Come on.
For me, pre-sleep is sitting on the couch with a bottle of wine. Mm-hmm. How was your week?
It was good. It started off with a really interesting tour of a beautiful cruise ship in the port of Toronto.
A cruise ship?
Yes, and you know what? Nobody
Cruise ships come
realizes
here?
cruise ships come to Toronto. We're going to have, last year we did 18,000 tourists through cruise ships. This year it'll be 20,000. It's going up each year. And
Where does it port?
well, it's hard to describe it, but it's on the east side of the port. There's a spot for it. Yep.
Are you talking about over close to Etobicoke?
No. Over towards, Cherry Street, east of Cherry Street.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole world down there that I'm going to discover for this new role I'm doing. But we had a tour, Viking, and they do expeditions, and they go through the Great Lakes. They do one in the Antarctica. They're very expensive, but they're intensive. They're learning. They teach you about science, and they have submarines in this one, and you can go underground under the lake. They do it in Lake Superior.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, it started off that way, and I met some interesting people and did some networking, and it was all part of my business thing. So.
This is something that someday I'd love to work up first of all, the money, and then the courage to do, because I don't like open water.
You'd like to work on a cruise ship or to take a
work
cruise?
up the courage
to
go on a cruise ship.
Well, you know what? It's like being in a house or a hotel. You don't even know you're on a boat half the time.
Trust me.
No, you don't.
A black person will know. Well, we don't forget. We don't forget. With that being said, my week was it was pretty good. There were some moments where I literally felt burnt out. Like there were I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday. It was so bad for me.
That was the start of the week, hon.
I know, but it was tough. This week was tough, and then
Why?
I work, man, work.
And you're going away in a few days,
Yeah, in a week.
and you can work while you're away.
Well, I don't intend to.
Oh, you're going to take vacation.
I'm going to take vacation.
Oh, okay.
If we don't use it, we lose it. So I might as well.
Oh, okay.
And Yeah, my company doesn't pay out for vacation time, but they're very.
Well, they have to if you leave.
If I leave, but
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
intend to.
Yeah.
And they're very generous with their vacation package. So I'm just going to take use of that, and
Well, you seem to always be on a plane to London. So how many weeks do you get, actually?
well, when I go to London, I don't usually take time off. This time I am.
Okay. Speaking of London, do you know who's visiting us next week? The King.
Oh,
He's going to open Parliament.
I thought he was sick.
Well, I didn't know he's sick.
I thought he had cancer like Biden.
Oh, well, maybe it's in remission.
Okay, I mean, you never know with rich people, so I don't know. But with that being said, yeah, I had a really good dinner party. Or I was invited to a really nice dinner party yesterday, which was so nice. A good friend of mine who is an award-winning chef.
Oh, then the food was good.
Oh, the food was amazing. When I say amazing, amazing. And he gave me this huge thing of like bone broth that he made for the cream of asparagus soup that he did. So it was a 4-course, technically a 5-course meal because it had an entremets. There was a salad course.
He had a what?
There
An
was
entremet?
entremets means like in between course.
I've never heard that
Really?
term.
So he had like a homemade sorbet that he did where he shaved the ice and it was laced with limoncello. So great, so delicious. He had like nibbles, so a neat little charcuterie that he had put out.
You know so many interesting people, Alex. I'm amazed, I really, you put daddies to shame with your network.
Well,
I mean, daddies are supposed to have bigger networks than sons, and you are so well connected. So many people all over the bloody world. Spain, Australia.
I'm a man of the people. You have to start young. I'm a man of the people. Someday I want to be in a position to do good things for my community.
That's a wonderful ambition to have.
And it all starts with a meal, I think.
A meal can bring people together and create community.
Absolutely.
So, like, what did we go to tonight for dinner? Just kidding.
Speaking of tonight,
so
what are we discussing today?
Well, I'm glad you raised it. I almost forgot, actually. What I wanted to talk about, I've been thinking about this, is I call it, for lack of anything, the power of asking. And when I thought about it last week, I thought, I just came back from a trip, and you're on your way to a trip. When you're traveling, you are asking a lot of questions. You're finding out directions. You're looking for this. You're looking for that.
You're asking for upgrades.
You're asking for upgrades. Well, sometimes. You're asking for where the hell do I get my boarding pass or something like that. But I guess what I was thinking of is in terms of why is it hard for some people to ask for something? There's a lot of ways of the power of asking could be broken down in a lot of ways. One is asking for something you want. But the power of asking is also relevant in a job interview. We'll park that one for now because I always tell people you will impress an interviewer with your questions more than your answers. But what I was thinking of is why is it sometimes hard for people to ask, and why is it that we don't ask, and what could we have had in our life to this point if we had asked for it? I remember there is a book that was written 15, 20 years ago called The Power of Asking, or something to those effects. I remember telling a friend about it, and he said, I wish I had written that book 10 years ago. So it obviously struck a chord. And I guess the first question is, do you find it hard to ask for help or directions or for something you really would like at a particular moment? I sometimes do.
Yeah.
And of course, the question is, why is that? And are there things that we would like in our life that we could ask for, but we haven't?
Well, all those questions that you asked will be answered after we take a quick break, refill our glasses, and come right back. And we're back. Mm-hmm. So what are we drinking today, Daddy?
Well, we're drinking an Australian cab.
It's Australian.
Yes, called Jerriman. And I discovered it because I got talking with a nice, helpful sommelier at the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board store here in Ontario. And I said, the California wines aren't available right now because of Mr. Trump. I need to find something that's like and I told her the brand I usually buy. And she recommended this Wakefield. It's called Wakefield. And I thought, oh, okay. And this is the higher end one.
It seems to have won a few awards. But I have to admit, to be honest, I find it to be, I think it could be aged some more.
Okay.
I think it could be aged some more. However, as a table wine, I think it would pair really well with a nice piece of steak.
Oh, yes.
Or some pork.
Yes, okay.
I think it's a little bit too bold for like a pasta or something with a delicate sauce, like a vodka sauce.
So it should be a little softer. I was thinking if any improvement would be a little softer.
Yeah, I think it's a little. It's very bold for a table wine.
Okay,
but definitely would pair well with
a bold meat.
With a bold meat, like even like an oxtail.
Well, I don't eat oxtails, but fair
You
enough.
don't know what you're missing. It's God's gift to mankind, and that's coming from me who don't eat meat.
It's God's gift to Jamaicans because they eat a lot of them.
Oxtail.
Every Jamaican I know is always making oxtail soup at some point, which is
Oxtail
fine.
is so good. It's so good,
Well,
Norm.
you know what?
I might have to take you to have oxtail someday and change your. I think I'll change your mind.
Campbell's used to have an oxtail soup.
Well, that's the reason why you don't like it, because you drank it from a can.
Oh, well, okay, maybe.
That's why you need to go to Simone's. Shout out to Simone's and the Danforth, where Auntie puts her toe into the pot, and the gravy
She puts her toe in there.
is finger licking good.
It's toe looking good, it sounds like. Well, I hope her toes are clean because I'm not really into toes and oxtails at the same
so
time.
we'll have to work on
Toes,
that.
we'll call it toes and tail soup.
For all the Jamaicans or the Caribbean folks out here listening, please drop in the comment section your favorite oxtail spot so that I can take Daddy out for dinner, and we'll do a review on a later podcast.
Okay.
Now,
Deal.
asking.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Well, why can't we ask for what we want? Why do we have trouble asking or seeking answers to things that bug us?
I think the answer may differ from person to person.
Okay.
Like if you ask me,
I don't think you're someone who's afraid of asking for something, though.
I was though.
Okay.
Not anymore, but I used to be.
And why? Why do you think that? Because I think the process of overcoming it is really important. Why were you afraid? Was it your fear of a rejection, or you didn't feel confident in what?
I think it wasn't rejection more as it was confidence.
Okay, you weren't sure it was the right thing to do, or you didn't think you'd be understood, or
As a minority person who have always been in spaces that faces like mine aren't prevalent, most times I feel as though I didn't deserve to be in that space. But just the mere fact that I was there meant that it meant that I should be satisfied. Whether that's the high school that I went to, whether that's the university that I went to, whether that's the jobs that I've kept. I've always felt like I didn't deserve to be there.
So it's sort of a self-esteem issue then, not necessarily for you, but for others that you don't feel quite worthy of deserving an answer to something.
Well,
Is that what you mean?
when you're a person of color and you're young too, and let me be abundantly clear. We live in a time right now where young people, particularly Gen Zs and millennials, get shit upon a lot. Not just in the media, but on the internet. How many, you may not notice, but I know a lot of young people who are listening to this program right now can relate to going on the internet and seeing the generation wars, where a lot of people are saying millennials are lazy, millennials don't want to work, millennials are bed rotters, millennials are this, millennials are that, they're snowflakes, they're not tough, they're not this, they're not that. And it's like a lot of people are forgetting that we are the most overeducated and underpaid generation.
Okay, that may be, but that's...
And so when you have such a highly educated group of people that their ROI is so little, what do you expect other than feeling defeated, depression, feeling as though you're unworthy,
unworthy
so on
of
top
of, and so to go out and ask for something that you don't feel you deserve it, you feel you're not going to get it anyway.
And a good example of that would be something as simple as a pay raise.
Good example. Very
Something
good example.
as simple as a pay raise.
That is something that's I've experienced the fear of asking for that.
It took me as recently as 2 years ago to break out of that habit. And
I remember we talked about that.
Therapy helped me with that, because my therapist helped me to understand that as a young minority queer person, so there's all these different factors, it is okay to occupy space. Yes, it's great that you're there, but you're there because you deserve to be there.
Yeah, you have qualifications, you have experience that commands a certain price. You bring it down to a very business-like level. Irrespective of color, irrespective of age, this is what I do for this organization. I deserve to be paid for that. But it's hard to get to that point.
But it's hard to get to that point.
Yeah.
And now I'm learning to occupy space. It's great. It's not just...
I like the way you put the occupy space.
Occupy space. It's not just enough to be in the room.
Very good way of putting it. Occupying space, meaning I claim to be there in the position that allows me to put forward a request. And I have just as much right and authority to ask for something as somebody beside me who is...
Precisely. Who is whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Who is more senior. Who
senior.
is of a different race.
Yeah.
Who is of a different economic background.
Which at the end of the day should be irrelevant, but of course they aren't.
They aren't.
Yeah.
Right?
Often.
But they aren't. So honestly, for me, that has been one of the biggest... Because that's what I suffer from. I genuinely suffer from feeling as though, or previously, feeling as though I don't have a right to ask.
All right. So moving through that, how did you overcome it? And I'm only asking you this because in the research that I did, the whole idea here is to try to overcome that and to get to a point where you can ask for stuff. You can feel confident of stopping a stranger on a street. Where is such and such? Mm-hmm. Smile and ask for something. Going to a cop, calling up an information line and saying, listen, I need some help here. I'm looking for even I fear a little bit sometimes. I'm reluctant to get on the phone and ask. So how did you overcome your reluctance to ask?
Well, before I answer that, because, learning to occupy space is the end goal, not the journey, right? So I'm going to explain that, but I want to know from your perspective, especially from a daddy. You mentioned earlier as an example, you have reluctancy sometimes to ask for things such as a basic pay raise. Someone of your stature and experience, why is that?
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm reluctant to ask. This is something simple as I wanted something from Bell Canada. I wanted a service that I didn't get. And I spent a long time thinking about it. And finally, one day, I just got on the phone and said, I pay you guys a lot of money. I have 4 of your services. I want Crave for free. And you know what? They gave it to me for a year.
Were you affected by the outage on Monday?
Yes, I was.
Oh.
Briefly.
I didn't even know about it until I saw a bunch of people at work complaining.
Yeah, I got back from a meeting and I couldn't get online.
Oh, okay.
But those things happen. But you know what? I realized, and I talked to some, and this is sort of the customer service world. A lot of people that call for technical help are afraid. And I have a friend who provides technical help to Apple products. And he said, Norm, we want to help people. And that did more to help me overcome the fear of asking than any other statement anyone has ever said to me. Because when you assume that the person at the other end of the ask is against you, you're going to have trouble asking. But most people really do want to help you most of the time if you have got a question.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that. But there are sometimes people may be reluctant to ask for things because it's something that they need.
Yes.
But they know it's a big ask.
That could be too. So like money or a favor, a drive somewhere, or a loan, which for all intents and purposes is usually a gimme, not a loan. I mean, yeah, and it's hard to ask for something like that.
I think people need to also understand and be intentional about when they're asking for things. If you're asking for a loan, ask for a loan. If you're asking for a gift, ask for a gift. Don't mince your words. And if you know you're going to ask for a loan, don't then turn around and not pay back that loan. Like, be intentional about your ask. If you know you don't have it to give back and you know you want this to be given to you, ask for it to be given to you. Ask, may I have? May I receive? Can I get? Don't ask, can I borrow?
Yeah, well, the person
and it doesn't
being
have to
asked...
be money. How many times does somebody come to you and say, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Can I borrow a cigarette off of you?
Well, I can say no to both of those quite without any conscience problem at all.
Well, not you, but I know there are people listening who have heard this all the time where somebody says, can I borrow a cigarette?
I've borrowed parsley from a neighbor.
You have no intention of giving back that cigarette.
Not parsley either.
Parsley. You're so healthy. Or people back in the days would be like, may I borrow a cup of sugar? You have no intention of giving back that cup of sugar.
Sometimes things are, if it's in a community, you're giving back and forth all the time. And that isn't really, it depends on the context.
But then why couldn't finances be treated in the same way?
Because we're more private.
I know I'm a person, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, can I borrow X, Y, and Z? And it's money, right? Mm-hmm. I've had friends come to me and say, can I borrow 50? Can I borrow 100? And I will say to them, sure. And when they come to give me back the money, I'll say, buy me a bottle of gin. Buy me dinner. Buy me this. Buy me that.
And did you get that?
Yes.
Oh, you lend to good people.
Yes, absolutely.
You make a better banker than I would.
I've had that happen to me before, and I don't mind. I don't mind giving a friend in need of $50, and then the next time I see them, I say, treat me to a snack. Mm-hmm. Treat me to a bottle of wine. I don't mind doing that.
I had a friend the other day, about a month ago.
So I think it's quite relative to the cup of sugar.
Okay. Well, let me give you an example. A friend of mine was in need of some money for, he had to move and he needed a little extra money for his down payment. And I said, listen, I'm not going to give you that money because it was $1,000. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of my credit line account, and this is going to be your loan, and you're responsible for that loan. And he said, okay, deal. And so each month I report the statement to him, and he makes the payment. Now that was tough for him to ask, and I thought about how to respond to him. And I thought, hey, he's going to learn something from this, and so will I. Anyway,
Except you get the better credit out of it, not him.
Yeah, I don't need the credit.
I learned
rating.
that from my ex. I remember with my ex.
That's true.
This is when I was really new to Canada.
Yeah.
And I was constantly borrowing his credit card to do things.
Yeah.
And then paying him back.
Yeah.
And then
And hopefully he was paying the credit card company.
no, he was.
Yeah.
Well,
there's some people that wouldn't
was
do that.
he? I don't remember.
Well, hopefully he would.
He was. I
yeah.
believe he was. But I think after about a couple of years, I remember sitting and asking myself, I need credit.
Why don't I get a credit card?
I need to build my own credit because I am a new immigrant in this country and I have no credit. And I'm a young person. I need to build credit. And I remember just saying to him, I'm not interested anymore. I'm going to go get my own credit card. And I got one of those no payment credit cards from like 0 annual fee credit cards from Canadian Tire to start building credit.
Good for you.
I was just like,
So you had to go and ask for a
he's
credit card.
benefiting, and just like your friend who
Yeah.
is making his payments. I was making my payments,
Yeah.
but somebody else was benefiting off me making the payments. So I was like,
his situation is he probably wouldn't have got a credit line from a bank
Either.
anyway. Yeah, at this point. I don't know if he has a credit card or not, but interesting. So that's the asking of when you want something.
so the
What about-
journey. To answer that question before you move on, because you ask, how did I get to that point?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay.
The answer to that is learning that the worst possible answer is no.
That's a very profound statement. And do you know what? I have found it hard to say no to people when I was asked for something.
If
and
you
I
think
should
it's
have.
hard to say no,
It's
you should
hard.
understand that it's harder to even receive a no for some people.
And it must be, and the people that are good at, let's be honest, the people that are good at taking advantage of people have overcome the ability, they know how to ask and they're fearless. And those are people to be very wary of.
That is a fair assessment. Actually, I was going to wait for us to discuss that. But since you brought it up, great segue. There is an art to asking for what you want.
Is there an art to saying no as well?
And there's also an art to saying no. There's an art to saying no.
Yeah.
You have to practice saying no as
I agree.
much as you have to practice asking.
I agree with that so much, son. I think and I have learned, I have had more trouble saying no than asking in life.
Oh my gosh. I remember there was a friend of mine, shout out to Moline.
I'm better now,
He's an Indian immigrant, and I remember such a brat, love him. He said to me, I love saying no. I'm like, what do you mean? Because he's a homebody. And when people ask him out, he just says no. And I'm like, I can't. Like, my social calendar is always full. And I get asked out to events almost every single. There's some weeks I'm out every single night, and I am exhausted. And he taught me that it's okay to to say no. And he's about 4 years younger than me. He's still in his 20s. And I was like, for someone who is so young, he's like, yeah, I say no like it's my middle name. I just love saying no.
Boy, I would love to have that skill, or would love to have had it. I think I've learned it finally. And you will find when you're at school, you're going to have to say no to a lot of those things. In fact, your world will change when you're in school, I can tell you. Right
Well, I think that I've mastered a diplomatic way
yes.
of saying no now.
Yeah, there's a way to say it that doesn't hurt the person too much.
Right.
Honors their ask, honors their need, but says, I'm not able to fulfill that right now.
I don't have to be as abrasive as my friend, but I can easily now turn around and say to someone, this is not something I can do right now. But if there's if there's anything else that you can, if there's any other ask you may have of me that I can fulfill at this time, let me know.
Oh, I like that answer. Oh, God, I wish I'd used that a few years ago.
Colston, one of Cole's favorite things to say is, that will be a soft no. And I'm like, what?
That's what he says? That will be a soft no?
What the hell is a soft no? It's like, it's not a hard no. It's just
no this time.
It's a no this time.
Yes.
It's a soft no.
Yes.
I'm like, okay.
And I like soft things.
It's like it's not a hard pass. It's a soft pass. I'm like, oh, okay. That's how he puts it. That's how he lets people down gently.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a soft no.
That is a great skill to have. Wow.
So you got to practice. You got to look in the mirror and practice.
Well, you're right. You're right. So let's talk about the power of asking, or the importance of asking, in totally different contexts.
Okay.
What if you're in a meeting, or you are in an interview, or you're in a situation you want to control? Asking questions is the way to do it.
I agree. Well, here's the thing. Manifestation needs action, right? You can't just have, you know me, I'm the queen of vision board.
Yes, vision board. We've talked about vision board.
We've talked about it on this podcast. I'm
Yes,
the queen
and
of
I've
vision
done
board.
articles on it in the past too, as you know.
You put things out in the universe to write it down, but you'll never receive them if you don't ask for them. So asking the universe is one method. It's one way. But you also have to get down on this earthly plane and also ask for the things that you want and need. Whether that is for that job, whether that is for that promotion, whether that is for that change in role or for that pay raise.
Yes.
You got to literally not just not just think about it,
You've got to
but you have to put that in action.
Well, you know what? A very important person actually said that. Jesus.
Did he now?
He said,
where in the Bible is that?
You have not because you ask not. That's in the New Testament.
Is that right?
Yes. I know you Catholics don't read your Bible very much, but it is there, and I can find it very quickly if you want while you're talking. But Jesus, God, he knows people, and he knows the power of asking. You don't get something from God unless you ask God for it. You don't get something from life, from people, unless you put yourself in a position to express your need. And the people that see your need or see your value and say, hey, I'm going to help that person. I'm going to provide that.
Okay, fair. What is something that you have asked for from God that you haven't received, or something that you want to ask God but you haven't asked for yet?
A long time ago, I wanted to work in the United States. I asked for that. Never happened. Just never happened. And in retrospect, you know what? Probably just as well. I mean, life
Do you
was good
think,
here.
which is you know what? This is what I was getting at. do you think or do you believe that sometimes no
Was
is
the right-
also a yes?
Well, no was the right answer.
I like that. No is the right. Do you? Because sometimes no is the answer.
It's the best answer. Yeah,
It's the best
It's the best
answer.
answer. Yeah, to receiving
receive
it
and to
giving
give.
it. Absolutely. Listen, you and I are supposed to be intergenerational and disagreeing on stuff. We often agree on things, but it's good we talk about this because people think about stuff like this and don't act on it. They don't express it. Now, where were we going with this thought? You had another one. You said, is there something...
So is something that
haven't
you've
asked
asked for and didn't receive, and something that you want to ask for, whether it's the universe or God, something that you want to ask for but you haven't asked them for?
You know what? I think it would have to say, I used to have a very nice home. You never saw it, unfortunately. I've seen pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have a better home someday.
Have you asked God for it?
You know what? I don't think I really have.
Why?
Because I kind of figure
You feel blessed?
I feel blessed. I feel fortunate. I look at my financial situation. I look at the price of homes, and I'm thinking, there ain't no friggin' way this is going to happen. Unless, some daddy bigger than older than me says, hey, Norm, I have a condo you might like. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not likely to happen. So sometimes you think, I'd like to ask for it, but I don't think it's practical to ask for that right now.
How many times do you think people on a day-to-day basis say to themselves, I'm not going to ask for this of someone
Because I'm not likely to get an answer.
because I don't think it's practical to ask for it? Whether it's practical or not is immaterial.
If you want it, ask for it. Is that what you're saying? Is that where
Yes.
you're going with that? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you wanted to ask for it.
Yeah.
How many people do you believe are out there right now? Or how many people who are listening to this episode today have the same mentality that I'm not going to ask for something because I don't believe that it's a practical ask?
Well, my advice to them would be think it through, and maybe it's a series of asks that you need to have.
Okay, that's fair. That's one way of putting it, a series of asks.
And
It's a multi-parter. It has a part
Yeah.
A, a part B, and a part C.
the ask is, I want a home, but what I need first is I need a good credit rating and I need a good job. Or I need someone to help me. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when you put it, and as a Christian, when you do ask God, He does make things happen. If you're not a believer, you still have the ability as an individual to make decisions that you think will lead you to where you,
you have
want
the
to go.
ability to manifest.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I mean, it will or may not happen. It's nice to have God's help, though.
I guess.
Well,
If
Well-
if you're a believer, I'm gonna be honest.
you're a believer. Come on.
Here's the thing. I believe in God, but I have to admit, my relationship with organized religion is waning a lot lately, and a lot of that is coming out of how far right religion has become lately. If a lot of the people who, like as an example, voted for Trump consider themselves as Christians, I don't want to be associated
All right.
with these people. And I'm being honest.
I totally hear you, but you
And
know what?
it makes me feel a little bit embarrassed to even consider myself as a Christian because I'm not like that.
I'm not like that either, and neither is God.
I'm not
Okay.
like that. But that's how a lot of Christians believe they should be.
Well, it's a lot of evangelical Christians in the southern United States.
When
Let's
I
be very
consider
specific.
Christians are Christians.
There are different types of Christians. There are different attitudes.
They all worship God, don't they?
Well, you know what?
Yes or no?
They claim to.
Okay.
I know, but I can tell you I disagree very vehemently with a lot of them that vote for Trump.
And I disagree with the Pope when he's with Pope Leo, when he says that a family consists of a man and a woman and nothing else. And I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Then what happened to chosen family? That doesn't make any sense. What happened to single parents?
Yeah.
So if a woman is a widower and she has a child, that's not a family. I'm sorry, but it's shit like that has me questioning and waning away from organized religion. But do I believe in God? Yes. Is my faith in God still intact? Yes. Is my faith in the church still intact? No. And this is where I'm at right now.
That's fair.
And so,
That's fair.
you know, and I want to use this platform to hold space for others who are in the same space as me right now, who you're leaning more agnostic right now than anything because you don't feel like you fit into the mold of what a modern day Christian is. And I just genuinely don't feel like I fit into the mold of what the masses consider a Christian to be.
Well,
I don't.
I hear you.
I'm not that terrible of a person. I'm not.
All I will say is God knows every person and loves us all and doesn't like what he sees in some churches, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, you got to deal with God, not some idea of what the church is. Start with him and ask him for stuff. Speaking of asking, that's bringing us around to asking. We kind of covered a lot of territory here. Is there?
Well, I hope Nancy Pelosi is able to just ask to receive communion in California. You know that she's banned from communion, right?
She's banned from communion? Why is that? Why is
you
that?
didn't know that?
I think I heard some. What happened?
So Nancy Pelosi, who is a diehard Catholic, because she supports trans and gay rights, she's banned from receiving communion in California.
She is welcome to come to St. Paul's in Toronto.
And when she's in D.C., at the cathedral in D.C., she's also not. They don't serve her. She's banned from receiving.
Well, that's fine.
communion
That's
in
within the
DC.
Catholic Church. She is a baptized Christian. The Anglican Church would welcome her because she is a baptized Christian, and that's what the Anglican Church does. It doesn't judge like that. So I'm not a Catholic, honey. Anyway, we're getting onto religion, and we shouldn't be talking about religion, although we do talk a lot about politics, which we haven't talked much about tonight.
I'm sticking to the theme of asking.
Asking, yes, you are.
And again, it is when we're talking about asks, whether it is from a ethereal point of view or an esoterical point of view, it is still an ask. And I'm trying. And you see, I don't think, not even you, I don't think you're really ready for that conversation.
About
Asking for things from an esoterical point of view.
when you say esoteric point of view, what do you mean? I'm not sure I understand.
Okay. Forget Christianity.
Yeah.
There are so many different religions out there.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't believe that I'm supposed to be Catholic. I believe that that was something that was indoctrinated inside of me. I believe my people, my ancestry.
Find another religion.
I believe my ancestry is something deep into some African or Nubian Egyptian religion that either is not existent in the Western world or is being wiped out through Inquisition or Crusades or something like that. That's my belief. But if you want to look at the ones that survived, like voodoo as an example, and the people, not their God, because a lot of people don't know this, but people who practice voodoo do believe in God. Marie Laveau, as an example, did believe in God. But their prophet that they recognize, like Christians recognize Jesus Christ, Islam's recognize Muhammad, they believe in Papa Ligba. And Papa Ligba is someone that you ask for things. Just like Santa Claus, you ask Santa Claus for things, which is from Nordic traditions. You ask for things. Now, again, why do a lot of people, children as an example, since we're talking about Santa Claus, a child who has no concept of shame, a child who has no concept of rejection, a child who has no concept of being told that you should feel bad for even considering this ask. What emboldens them versus an adult? And then what makes us lose our belief
The lack of inhibition would be the short
in
answer
the
to
magic
that.
of asking?
A child doesn't have inhibitions. And that's one of the things that prevents us from asking. We're inhibited. We're concerned about the answer or whatever.
Should we then be blaming ourselves? Not ourselves as in personally, but adults. The people, other adults that I think adulthood steals magic away from each other. Adults steal magic away from each other.
Well, we have a lot more barriers and stuff and inhibitions than young children do, for sure. But isn't it sweet, young kids asking for things? I mean, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And oftentimes, even when I want to say no, I will say yes just because I'm proud of them for asking. I'm
You
being
know what?
honest.
And I think that's the way God is with people who love him. He wants to give us stuff.
And that's why we should not be, nothing is impractical. If you want it, ask for it.
Yes.
Whether you're asking God, you're asking your friends,
Yes.
you're asking your partner, or whoever you believe in, the universe, whatever it is.
Step up and occupy the space.
Step up and occupy the space.
To use your words, which I think that's the title of our
Occupy space. Occupying
Occupying
space.
Space.
I like
Yes,
that.
Yes.
I'm gonna put that in the. I'm gonna send that to us so that I remember.
I'll remember
to put
that one.
Occupying space.
Yeah, that was your quotable quote tonight.
I'll put that there.
So we're going to take a pause in our podcast for a few weeks, I guess, are we?
We are going to take a slight break.
Mm-hmm.
No, we'll still be here for next week.
Oh, we're here for next week.
We're here
Okay.
for next
Okay.
week, and then after that, we'll be on a 2-week mid-season hiatus.
Only 2 weeks this time? Oh my goodness, that's a short trip, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks is very short.
It's a 2 weeks. Actually, it's a 3 week. 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
But two sessions or two or three.
Yeah. So a 3-week mid-season hiatus, and then we'll be back for more Daddy and Son.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap up today, is there any final words that you want to give to our audience about asking?
Well, I think that you said it earlier, that the fact is you just need to be confident, claim the space, don't be too pushy, and speak honestly with what's on your heart and your mind, and let the chips fall where they may.
I want you all to know that the worst thing that someone can ever say to you is no.
Yep.
And sometimes no is the right answer.
Yep, that's a good way to put it.
Okay? I just want everyone to remember that. With that being said, I want to thank everyone to listening to today's episode. And if you made it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is called @Daddy and Son Podcast. That is @Daddy and Son Podcast. If you have any questions for the show, send them over to daddyandsonpodcast@gmail.com. That is DADDYANDSON podcast@gmail.com. And until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
And daddies, be kind to your sons.